Hello, and welcome to In Retro, Episode 2, Defender of the Crown, 1986, by Master Designer Software. No, not Master Beta Software. To start off, Defender of the Crown debuted on the powerful Commodore Amiga, followed by ports to a cluster of other systems in the following year. As usual, and you will hear me say this on many occasions, you would do well, young man, to steer clear entirely of the Commodore 64 and Nintendo Entertainment System versions, as they are both graphically retarded by comparison, with no improvements to gameplay whatsoever. The Atari ST version, on the other hand, even though moderately inferior graphically to the Amiga version, is considered to be by many the best version of this timeless classic, as additions to the gameplay enhance the experience overall. Among other upgrades, 2 enhancements to the ST version of this game were the addition of battle animations and 2 new catapult projectiles that could be selected during Castle Siege. But we will get to that later. So, what is Defender of the Crown, you ask? Well, DOTC, as it's called, is a turn-based strategy game set in England during the Middle Ages, where different factions are battling one another for supremacy. DOTC is largely inspired by the novel Ivanhoe, a book of English historical fiction which set the groundwork for many Robin Hood Friar Tuck adventures in books, television, film, and of course video games. I personally have not read the book Ivanhoe, but one doesn't necessarily need to go to the source to understand the general themes behind the story. But let's introduce the characters as they appear in Defender of the Crown. Perhaps 1 or 2 may ring a bell. The Saxons: Wilfred of Ivanhoe, Geoffrey Longsword, Cedric of Rotherwood, Wulfric the Wild, Robin of Locksley. The Normans: Brian de Bois Gilbert, Philip Malvoisin, Reginald Front-de-Bœuf, Edmund the Grim, and of course, Roger Falconbridge. For the player, DOTC is an epic game of strategy and skill, akin to the game Risk, but in a more compact arena like England, the action is greatly condensed and the tempo quickened. The player controls one of 4 Saxon heroes, charged with ridding the land of her unwelcome Norman occupants. Hardly a shallow game, as some critics may say, Defender of the Crown complements an awesome campaign component with entertaining jousting tournaments, daring raids, brutal castle sieges, trips to Sherwood Forest, and if that's not enough, there's always a kidnapped damsel in distress beckoning the aid of a brave hero. All said, Defender of the Crown is one of the greatest strategy games of all time, and indeed remains more than playable after an astonishing 23 years. Into the future! Stay tuned to watch the extended version of this episode, where Ben from nerdballoon.com takes a closer look at Defender of the Crown.